Today on Ask This Old House.
If you see ice on your air conditioning unit, it's not a good thing. I'll walk you through what it might be and how you fix it.
Here is what I wrote you about. So,
railing.
yes, this knob just spins, spins, spins.
A stair railing should be nice and tight, not like this one. I'll show you the fix.
And in the heart of California wine country, there's a feature house being built that has some really cool technology.
So to be energy efficient, we opted not to go with air conditioning.
Whoa, I mean, I can't remember the last time I saw a new construction house that didn't have air conditioning.
That's next on Ask This Old House. Hi there, I'm Kevin O'Connor, and welcome back to Ask This Old House. Your questions and your emails are flooding in. We love it. Keep them coming. And today we're actually going to start with one from Marna.
All right.
In Massachusetts, right up your alley, Richard. Marna writes that she's seen frost on our air conditioning unit, and she wonders what's up.
Well, it gives us a chance to review just how an air conditioner works. Any properly installed air conditioning system has to have two important components perfectly balanced. One is a cooling coil inside the indoor unit. So this is an A coil, it's called an A coil right here. It would sit on top of a furnace and air would blow up through it. And now that heated air that comes from the building to be cooled comes up through here through this coil. You see this? And then there's this refrigerant piping right here. Inside this piping is refrigerant that is brutally cold when it's running. So now the air that's coming across is really warm. Heat gets absorbed into the refrigerant.
Right.
Now it has to be carried outside through this refrigerant piping to a condenser outside that has a fan, another coil outside, and the process is reversed. Now, instead of absorbing heat into the refrigerant, we're going to run a fan and reject or dump the heat to outside, thereby leaving colder refrigerant working its way back in the building. Now, those two pieces have to be perfectly in balance, and there has to be proper airflow on both of them.
So does improper airflow put one of them out of balance?
Absolutely. So think about the indoor unit. Now, this is a filter that would normally be right here. On a unit like we're talking about, it would be down here. So now, if you've got cat hair or pet hair, what's going to happen? It's going to get clogged on that filter.
I mean, look at all this. You can just see the piles of dust. So that stops the air from coming through here at the rate it should be.
Less air coming across here, what's it going to mean? This really cold coil with not enough heated air going across it, the humidity that's in that small amount of air going across will now have no choice but to freeze on the coil and make a block of ice. And you'll have this complaint where the fan's on, but I don't have as much air, and it's just not cooling because it's not in balance. You've blocked some of the cooling power of this coil.
So dirty filters on the inside would reduce airflow. What reduces airflow outside?
Outside, it could be leaves, it could be some of the droppings that come off of trees down the south. There's kudzu, all this sort of pollen and kind of stuff. And what you do is you got to make sure you carefully clean that coil. Now, there's coil cleaners. You got to use a gentle vacuum with a brush. There's little tools that can actually clean these little tiny fins. You see the fins are unbelievably fine. So you don't want to do anything to damage those fins. You need airflow to pass through this relatively fine aluminum coil.
And that's why we've heard you say, you know, cut the bushes away, you know, take that vegetation away from the whole thing.
Let airflow come beautifully through this coil and let heat leave this condenser outside beautifully. Make sure there's airflow on both sides.
So there are times when you tell us that units are simply just oversized, and that causes this freezing to happen.
It's the biggest problem in the entire comfort industry. People, you do a heat gain calculation and it says I need a 2-ton unit, and people will put in a 3-ton, and the consumers are just as guilty. They'll say, okay, a 3-ton sounds better because they think bigger is better. But if we've done our job as professionals, the size of this unit would make it be that on the hottest day of the year, the air conditioner would never shut off, right? And then in anything less than the hottest day, it would be on proportionally. Now it means that with it oversized, the thing comes on, it gets so cold, it satisfies the thermostat quickly and shuts off, but it doesn't dehumidify.
Right. An
air conditioner is nothing but a glorified dehumidifier. As that air comes across and there's humidity in it, it has no choice but to drop out to a pan right here and be removed. And when you're drier in your air, you're more comfortable.
So in looking at Marna's letter here, I mean, she had a working system for a long time, and then it stopped working properly. So I don't think sizing is an issue. She had a change of conditions. So she's probably
if there's a blocked return air filter, there's a really good chance that this coil starts to freeze. It could just be half of it. Guess what? You're going to have half the cooling power. So it could be as simple as that.
So she should think about changing her
Changing
filters,
this.
making sure there's nothing blocking the outdoor unit.
And if it's not those two things, the only other thing it could be is a lack of refrigerant. A small leak in the refrigerant would make this thing not cool properly, and that would be for a pro.
Well, that's why they write us, so that we get good answers like that. Thank you.
All right, stay cool.
Want to tackle all your home improvement projects with confidence? Join This Old House Insider, a new streaming service from This Old House, the iconic Emmy-winning series that inspired a generation of home enthusiasts. Stream over 1,000 episodes of This Old House and Ask This Old House commercial-free. Watch it all in the This Old House app and join live online Q&As with our experts. Best of all, you can try Insider free for 7 days. To join, go to thisoldhousemembership.com.
Tommy, thanks for coming.
Well, thanks for having me. I like your house. Nice little cape, just like my daughter's.
Thank you. Yeah, we've been here about a year now. I think it was built late 1940s.
Yeah, I would say that.
Here is what I wrote you about. So,
Really?
yes, this knob just spins, spins, spins.
Yeah.
If we get it in place, it stays about a day. That's about it.
And loosens back up.
Yes. Have you seen this before?
I have once in a while, but not a lot. But I think we can fix that pretty easy. Let me get some tools and we can get going on that.
Sounds good.
Now, every stair in every house can be a little bit different. And all the pieces that you need to complete the railing and stuff are pretty standard and can be bought off the shelf. Like, for example, you have a straight run here and an ending right here at the bottom and a different one at the top. Now, how these end pieces are held to the straight railing is a mechanical fastener. And let me show you what I think you have here.
Okay.
It's actually called a railing bolt. So if you look at the threads right here, you can see two different threads. And that's a wood thread. And that thread is meant to go into the wood fiber and hold tight, just like a screw would when you drive a screw in. But this side right here is a machine thread. And that's to allow the nut to go up and down easy and really give it tension to pull the two pieces together.
Okay.
Now when you drill a hole for the machine thread, you drill a larger hole. For two reasons. You want it to slide in, but you also want to have some adjustability with this so you can line them up, make them right, make it tight, and it'll stay into position. Then once it's tight, you want to hide that hole, so you just put a bung in there, and the hole disappears.
Okay.
Now I could take over here and just tighten up that nut really tight, and it probably won't loosen. But I want to do one more thing to make sure that it doesn't turn.
Sounds good.
All right, so let me take it off. Luckily, that's not glued in. That's actually a tapered bung, so it fits nice and tight. I just unscrew the nut. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a measurement off of this, and I'm going to find the center at the thick part, which would be 1 1/8. Put a little mark. Yeah, and then I'm just going to measure down, let's say 3/8 of an inch. Now I want to drill a starter hole. Okay, good. Now I'll take an 8-penny finish nail, put it in the hole, drive it in. Good. Okay.
How do you get that into that side of the railing?
Well, I'm going to cut the head of the nail off and make a point on this end. I don't need much, okay? So now what I got to find that measurement and transfer it over there so I'll have a little hole to guide my nail in.
Okay.
So now I'll find the center this way, 1 1/8. Come down from the top, 3/8. Drill a little hole.
That's it?
That's it. Just need a little guidance right there. Make sure I'm set and lined up. Let's see how that fits. Good, that lines up nice. All right, now before I make the final connection, I'm going to use some glue on the machine thread that will hold the nut so it won't back off once we tighten it, and a little bit of glue on the end grain of the railing. Okay, so now we have the tricky part. We have to put the washer on. I have to get the nut in there. We got to try to line it up with the hole. I got to get it into position so we can then turn the nut onto the thread. I'll hold it here. Can you see if you can just spin that nut down just a little bit? Does it grab? Mm-hmm. There you go. Yeah. Okay, we're on the thread. I'll take it from here. So now I turn it around, put the pin in the hole, tighten up the nut a little bit. Good. Now just put the bung in the hole, and we're done. All right, your railing is on. If you want to give it a try there, see how nice and tight that is.
Yeah, it feels great.
All right, so that's not going to go anywhere. You should be all set.
Thank you for coming out.
My pleasure. I'm glad I could help.
Love it, Tommy. Simple fix, but if you've got a loose railing, it'll drive you crazy.
It'll drive you crazy, but it's not safe. You don't want any loose parts on the stairway.
And there's a lot of parts on some staircases. That's a very simple one, but I mean, there's all different sorts of things that can be connected.
And you can buy these off the shelf at the home center. I mean, that's the end that we had downstairs. Here's the end that we had up on the second floor. And let's say you have a landing or a stairway that's a turn. You can have that into your newel post. Or you're coming from a newel post on the second floor and you want to go down the stairs. This is a drop.
Yep.
Okay?
And so you want them tight, but you also want them hidden. You do not want to see that fastener.
Absolutely. And there's all kinds of fasteners out there. This is one that's a little bit different than the one we use. It's actually 2 springs that screw together. Really? All right. And then the bottom of the spring, there's a screw that screws into the railing.
So that secures it to one side and secures the other side?
Once you put the 2 pieces in there, you drop this metal dowel in there, and you just screw it together.
Check that out. Would you put a drop of glue on there?
I would absolutely put a drop of glue in there because you want it to make sure it stays there.
So as those springs engage each other, it just gets tighter and tighter.
Yeah, just keep making it tight, and then when you're done, that glue will hold it.
That is awesome. But the key is that those opposing holes are perfectly lined up.
Right, and the trick to making sure that the holes are lined up is a simple little template like this. You take a section of the railing and you maybe cut it a 1/2 to 3/8 of an inch thick. And I put an X on one and I put an X on the railing that I'm going to drill into. I drop them on, I drill a pilot hole, then I drill my big hole. On the other piece without the X, I use the side without the X. Line them up, and now that hole will be positioned exactly right with that hole.
That is a great little trick, and you were full of them. Great information. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Now you can watch This Old House and Ask This Old House anytime, anywhere. Download our new app to stream full episodes to your tablet, your TV, and your phone. Binge on classic episodes, catch up on recent renovations, and get step-by-step help projects all around the house. And best of all, it's free. The most trusted home improvement information is now available on your Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, iOS, and Android devices. Download the This Old House streaming app today.
You're probably familiar with an aisle of smart home products like this. I get asked all the time, which products are the best? Which one should I install? And honestly, I ask the same question about my house. To try to find answers, I'm headed to Napa, California to meet with Jason Johnson. He runs a tech company and he's building a new home that's testing how smart technology may change the way we build and live in our houses.
Hey Russ, welcome to Napa.
Thanks for having me. I can see the house is coming along. Tell me about it.
So we're building a new home here. It's kind of a modern farmhouse style. My wife and I have been working on it for a few years now, kind of our dream home.
Yeah, what I'm really here for though is the smart home side of it. So tell me about what you're doing there.
I work in the smart home field, but I wanted to make sure everything in this house was off the shelf. You could go to a consumer electronics store, hardware store, buy the products, install them yourself. And there's really 3 areas that I'm focusing on. Security, how to make the house safe and secure. Energy, how to save money on energy consumption. And then thirdly, really things that are fun and delightful.
I think the real challenge for most homeowners is that there's only a couple of companies that really are trying to control the home. And if you pick their platform, whether it be a smart speaker, whether it be an app, whether it be a combination, you're pretty much locked into that platform.
That's right. So we want to make sure we chose products that were very flexible, would work with each other. You know, I may want to use my voice, my wife may want to use her phone, and then I have the in-laws visit. They want traditional buttons to push and have the systems work.
No, that's great. So you mentioned security, you mentioned energy, you mentioned fun. Let's talk about security.
Yeah, so traditional home security is about detecting breach, right? So you have systems like window sensors and door sensors that detects when somebody's already broken into the house. We wanted something a little different here. We have cameras. We have a doorbell camera. We have cameras around the perimeter. They can detect motion, and then with that motion, we can look at it and determine is that a dog, is it a tree blowing in the wind, or is it a person? And we can get a notification on our phone, and we can look and we can see who that person is, and determine is that somebody we know? Exactly.
Cool.
We trust them. It's okay.
Good. Don't call the cops. Good.
But if it's somebody that maybe you don't know, maybe you want to call the cops and have them respond. And in the future, with facial detection technology that's in development, it'll automatically determine that the person is safe. Maybe the postman who comes every day, and we don't get those notifications at all.
Wow, that's really cool.
Along the lines of new security, the access control system has changed also. We have a smart door lock that instead of using a traditional key, that uses your phone as the key.
So no more traditional key.
Yeah, you have your phone with you already. So with the app on your phone, as you walk up to the door, it can actually unlock for you automatically.
Wow. One of the complaints I have heard, though, is that what happens when either you have an in-law that's not tech savvy or your phone dies?
You can still use a key, right? There still is a deadbolt here with a traditional key cylinder,
works.
right? Still
Okay.
works. You can give people a code as well as app access, right? Personal code. Or if somebody's just coming just one time, they press the doorbell button, you see them on your phone, you talk to them, and you say, oh, here, let me give you access. Maybe it's the plumber, and press the button. They go in, do their service. When they leave, door locks.
Now that's cool. Can we see inside?
Let's go.
All right. Whoa, Jason, I was expecting 2 stories. This is a full vaulted ceiling.
Yeah, so this is that new popular concept of the big great room. So we have a living room area over here, a dining room, and then over there is a kitchen, all in one big room.
I mean, you mentioned energy. The first thing I noticed was the spray foam in the rafters. That's a huge part, cutting down the solar gain, right? Is that close-out?
It is, yes.
And then you got the fiberglass in the walls. That's great. But what about smart home? What are we doing in the energy front?
So we have a boiler that's energy efficient that both heats the water for the sinks and showers, but also heats the floors with radiant heating.
Got it. Okay, so you got how many zones of radiant?
There are 6 thermostats controlling 6 zones.
And how many square feet?
2,400.
It's a lot of zones.
Indeed it is, but we wanted to have a thermostat in different rooms with a built-in motion sensor that would detect if there's nobody in the room and then not heat that room. And each thermostat has built-in voice assistant, so you can control the temperature in other parts of the house with it.
So you're telling me that I don't need to have a smart speaker in every single room. The thermostat basically becomes that smart speaker. And I could say, hey, turn on my lights.
Lock the doors, turn down the heat.
All from your thermostat?
Yes.
That's impressive. So that's how you heat the house. What about cooling?
So to be energy efficient, we opted not to go with air conditioning.
Whoa. I mean, I can't remember the last time I saw a new construction house that didn't have air conditioning in it.
And in Napa, where it gets pretty hot in the summertime, that was definitely high risk, but we did some analysis around what could you do in a more passive energy way.
Okay.
And we chose to go with a system that would allow us to not force cold air into the room, but instead draw in cold air from the outside during the cool parts of the day,
okay,
and remove hot air during the hot parts of the day.
So a whole house fan?
And the whole house fan up there, you see it. Behind
the
that
intake right there?
Behind that blue tape there. And what that vent will do is pull the hot air out of the house and draw in the cool air from the outside.
I know the thing about whole house fans, you got to open up all the windows, right?
Yes, so that's of course a manual process. But this is a smart house, and we want to be able to do that remotely.
Got it.
And so we had to have motorized windows. And so what we did is we found a window company that has motorized windows. But the way that those motorized windows works, it's like a normal hand crank, right? But it has a motor. And that motor is traditionally connected to a wall switch, and you push the button and it opens the window slowly or closes the window slowly.
Got it.
But what we did is we added a Z-Wave controller attached to these motorized windows. And that Z-Wave controller is attached to a web service that will take data from the thermostats in the house, as well as taking data from the local weather station to find out, is it hot inside the house, is it cold outside, and then open up the windows, let the cool air in.
That's great. I love the fact that you guys are taking old school technology and making it smart. So we talked about security, we talked about energy. What about the fun? Where's the fun?
Well, we definitely love to entertain, and so the house will have all your usual entertainment systems, audio, video, and other fun bells and whistles, but we're still a few months off on that.
Yep. And one of the things I do love is that you guys are using off-the-shelf products and finding a way to seamlessly integrate those together. But it's not complicated. I mean, you still have quite a bit of setup time and programming.
That's right. So the individual products work really well, but we want them to work well together. And so today is a little bit of programming. You create some of these rules. Over time, the houses are going to get a brain, and then these systems work really well together. We have a saying called ambient AI, in which the house will understand who is coming and going, right? The actual person, what is their preferred temperature, what is their preferred music, and respond to them individually. And the house will just get smarter and smarter. In fact, a great example of what it could do is understand that, milk, you've run out of milk, and the house can order milk for you, arrange the delivery, and the smart lock lets them in for that temporary delivery. It goes in the fridge. You come home from work and you have milk in your fridge.
I mean, that sounds really cool and a little scary, but you haven't moved in yet. Once that happens, I'm sure there'll be some technology that works better than you think and some technology that doesn't work as good as you think. So I'm curious to know where those pain points are going to be.
Yeah, certainly with new technology, there is some adjustments, and we'll definitely be making those over the coming months and years.
Well, keep us posted. Thank you very much for the tour, Jason, and I wish you well on the rest of the construction.
Thank you, Ross.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that he's working with off-the-shelf technology, right? He doesn't just pick one platform. He says, I like a little bit of this, I like a little bit of that, because I think that's how we live. Although when I hear programming, I'm thinking, all right, that's it. You've lost 99%. Right? I mean, no one's going to do that.
Right.
So the programming doesn't make sense to me.
Right. So you could take all those devices and still have remote access through an app or through voice, right? So in the smart window example, he could have had an app on his phone that says, open the smart window and turn on the hall fan. It would be,
and that's kind of plug and play. He would not have had to program that?
Correct. No programming needed for that. But what he's doing is something really cool where he's saying, I want the smart windows to operate. I want the hall fan to operate when the outdoor temperature and indoor temperature and it's not raining out.
Right.
When all those conditions are met, to have it happen automatically from a remote location.
So he's taken it to a very sophisticated place, and that's why we need the program. Not everyone has to do that.
That's right. That's
okay.
right.
The other thing that I'm thinking about is privacy. You know, people are concerned about a digital key floating around out there, or letting the delivery guy in who's a stranger. I mean, how are we going to reconcile that? I
mean, as a society, we have to decide, are we willing to give up privacy for convenience, right? There's a trade-off there and a balancing point. I don't know where that's going to shake out. But what I do know is people are already posting personal information on social media. They're storing banking and credit card information on websites. So we'll see where it goes.
So you're suggesting that our behavior is changing as this technology becomes available.
That's right.
Does it ever get to the point where the house starts to change?
I mean, if the delivery man coming to the door and getting access to your house actually becomes the norm, which I probably think will happen, I could see architects and builders changing the way that the layout of the first floor of a house happens. I could see a lobby or a vestibule. So you're giving access for the delivery man in through the front door, but you're giving them, you're securing them from the second door to give access to the house. And that vestibule could even have a refrigerator in it, so food could be stored there and shelving for packages. Could be kind of cool.
It's like the modern day milk box, except now it's for the delivery guy.
Yep, or the hotel lobby.
All right, well, good information, Ross, thank you. And we have got tons of great information, so keep your letters and your emails coming. Until next time, I'm Kevin O'Connor.
I'm Ross Trethui
for Ask This Old House. So you got a digital key for me?
No. No.
Next time on Ask This Old House.
A chainsaw is one of the most dangerous tools you can use, but it comes with some built-in features to keep you safe.
And maker Ben Ueda is stopping by to show us how to make a simple but elegant piece of furniture.
I was taking a shower and the shower valve actually came off in my hand. It stripped off.
Yeah.
I took it to the home center. I got a new one, but it's never quite worked right. It actually leaks down into the crawl space.
So it leaks inside the wall.
That's correct.
Thanks for watching. This Old House has got a video for just about every home improvement project, so be sure to check out the others. And if you like what you see, click on the subscribe button to make sure that you get our newest videos right in your feed.